Welcome to Veteran State of Mind. I'm your host, Geraint Jones, and wow, what a guest we have for you today. Talk about experience, talk about grounded, and just an amazing outlook on the world he has. Before we get to him, I would like to choke on my coffee. Apparently, I promise you that was coffee I was choking on, noble listeners, and nothing erotic. Right, now that I've swallowed whatever that was, let's get to the sponsors. Right Flank is a veteran-owned and operated clothing brand producing gym and active clothing for men and women. With over 40? Oh, okay, I exaggerated a bit there. With over 20 years of experience, that's still a lot. Right Flank brings you tough and well-tested clothing for your most challenging times and tasks. And these lads know something about testing times, challenging times, because they were in amongst it in some of the heaviest fighting in Basra, and I respect them a lot for that. At Right Flank, RITE Flank, one word on Instagram, social media, and RITEFlank.com on the internet. Get out there, order some of their stuff, support a veteran-owned and operated company like they support the podcast. Combat, comb over, it will get you laid, guaranteed, so long as you do not look rats as fuck. And you know what? If you have got a rat's disgusting, like, you might have the most gopping face. You might look like Jabba the Hutt fucked an Ewok. That might be the genetics that your parents gave you. Because let's be honest, not every squaddy out there and veteran is blessed with the looks of Geraint Jones, are they? They're not. So you might be absolutely Honksville, Tennessee, but it doesn't matter. Because you get a bit of the old pomade, combat comb over pomade, slap that in your hair, and at the very least, you're going to have good hair. And you're on the path then. You're on the path. Look, we can't do everything for you, all right? You know, so just get some fucking pomade in your hair. It'll smell nice too. It'll smell nice. You'll look good. Half the battle. The next stage, okay, I'm going to throw in a tip. The next stage, get them drunk. All right, actually, fuck, I probably have to put a caveat on that. Do not do anything that is not consensual. Fucking hate 2020. I have to fucking caveat everything. Anyway, back to combat comb over. Get it in your fucking hair. Get it on your toast. Use it for whatever you want to in the bedroom. Just buy it. Support our fucking veteran-owned and veteran-operated friends from America. God bless them. God bless combat comb over. Long live combat comb over. Now, to today's episode. He's American, actually. His name is... Oh, I hope I get his surname right. Forgot to ask him. Fuck. His name is Nick Misiano, right? I wanted to have him on for a while. His pen name is Charlie Moose, right? So he wrote a book called Lava Dawgs, which I want you guys to go and check out. It's on the vsonpodcast.com/book, so you can get his book there. And like, Nick, yeah, just a super cool guy. Very thoughtful. He's got a lot of very interesting views on the world and life, and it was a real privilege to have him on. I can't wait to hang out with. Like, we were originally intending to do this in person, but then coronavirus fucked everything up, and we didn't get to meet up. But I'm looking forward to catching up with Nick when I am in the States next. Really enjoyed this podcast. Really enjoyed the man's company, even if it was through a microphone. You guys are going to love it. Put your hands together for United States Marine Corps Devil Dog, Nick Misiano. All right, Nick, welcome to the podcast, mate.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, bro. I appreciate it. Been a long time follower of yours, and I wish we'll definitely make this happen in person sometime as well. Like, one of the things that we try and do here at the podcast is I don't want this to be somewhere like a one-stop shop. Like, someone comes in, you hear from them once, and then that's it. Like, I want this to be, once you're a guest on the podcast, you are forever a friend, a member of the podcast. And I think it's great to have people come back and we check in on each other's journeys. And because, I mean, like I said, just by following you, I've witnessed a bit of your own journey, you know, which we're going to get into more today. But can you just like fill guys in on about what your background is, military-wise?
I was in the Marine Corps infantry. I was in 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, and 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines out of Hawaii from 2001 2005. I was in Operation Phantom Fury 2004 2005, also known as Second Battle of Fallujah.
So the second battle of Fallujah, then that's the one where Mattis, you had Mattis as the general, and it was like the Blackwater guys got hung up from the bridge.
Yes.
And from what I gathered from Mattis's book, originally the idea was we're going to do some targeted raids. We're going to find out who was responsible. We're going to do targeted raids. But then the White House were like, no, you're going to go in big time and fuck these guys up. And Mattis said, okay, well, if you want us to do it, we'll do it that way. And so you were a part of that mission.
The initial one was Operation Vigilant Resolve, and that was in April of 2004. And that's like less than a few weeks after they strung the bodies up on the bridge. And then it got really political at that point because they just didn't allow the first, the guys that were in the first battle to just kind of go in the way they let us go in, with mostly just full on, nothing stopping us. Initially not too many ROEs. So, and it got really political. And that was when George Bush was up for re-election. Coincidentally, that was November of 2004 when we went back in, and they actually held us from our actual date for the invasion. They held it back until George Bush clinched the election. It was very political, but when finally he won the election, they gave us the go ahead, and in that respect, it was good for us as far as an offensive, and initially, anyways. We didn't have a lot of ROEs to restrict our ability to fight. You know what I mean?
So how old were you at the time?
At the time, I was 27 years old. I was pretty old already.
Yeah. How long you been in the Corps?
I was only in the Corps for 4 years. At that time, I'd been in about three and a half. My contract was almost up. I was on my third deployment. It was my first combat deployment.
All right. So what was it that got you into the Marines in the first place?
I grew up in Hawaii on a Marine Corps base. My dad was a lifer. He did 25 years. It was just always something that I aspired to because, my heroes were, war veterans. It was a tradition in my family, all the way back to my great grandfather, served in World War I, on my mother's side. So I just felt like I needed to be tested, and it was just, I was interested in being tested in a way of, I was interested in combat. I was hoping to get that chance. And this was before 9/11 happened. So I joined in May, and then 9/11 happened in September. And it was just part of my life that was, in my opinion, it was always kind of just part of the plan. And it happened in a mysterious way, but it happened nonetheless. So
you mean part of the plan is in the sense of like your life plan or like a God's plan, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess I don't talk about destiny that much, but in terms of where I felt my life needed to go in order to, seek out the ultimate test, in my opinion, at that time was combat. And I had no idea that I was going to be given that opportunity at the time when I joined the Marines. We weren't at war yet, and we hadn't been attacked yet. So
yeah, because like really for the Marines, things have been pretty quiet. Really, you could say all the way back to Vietnam. Like, sure, there was the Gulf War and maybe some Balkans deployments, but realistically, you're talking like a big gap.
Absolutely, and that was kind of one of the founding points of my book was that even our senior enlisted, even all the officers, guys that had been in 20 years already, first sergeants that were about to retire, they had never seen combat, and at least in our unit, like I said, they saw some combat in the Gulf War, and like Panama was one too, when they invaded Panama in '89, but most of us were inexperienced. We had no clue what combat was like.
Yeah, there's nothing like, so if you join the military in, say, 2005, and then you served through 2010, you probably went to Afghanistan, you probably went to Iraq, everyone did, and that seems like the norm. But the reality is like, I joined the military in 2000. There wasn't, nobody had experience. Nobody. Because because only very few units in the British Army actually went to the Gulf War. We're talking one division out of the entire army. So there's not that many, and we don't do what you guys do, where we we don't. Once you go into one unit, that's usually the unit that you're in for your entire career. So like those units had this. There were some units that had experience, but everyone else didn't. How did you feel when 9/11 happened then, and you knew that you were going to go to war?
Well, initially, like we were really shocked that that this was like our new enemy, terrorism. A lot of us were just ignorant. We didn't understand what was going on. Nobody knew who Osama bin Laden was. Initially, of course, that youthful exuberance and that vigor. Everybody wanted to go to war. Everybody wanted to be challenged. But we were all boots. I mean, I was in the school of infantry at the time, and I remember we were in the chow hall and we saw it on TV. And everybody was just excited. Everybody thought, we're going to get our chance to go to war now. I mean, I remember people were screaming it. We're going to war. We're going to war. And they locked down the base and it was like state of emergency. And it was real for a time. But then, it faded because like my story goes, like we didn't finally get to see combat for another 3 years. And it kind of felt like at that time we were going to be left out of it.
Yeah, isn't that kind of crazy when we go? Because I felt exactly the same, dude. I was like, oh, I missed the invasion of Iraq. I missed it.
Yeah.
Here we are, 2020.
Yeah.
We're still like, who saw that coming? The longest war in American history. Like, you can't see that coming.
You watch movies about guys that, World War II, Vietnam, like there's always that feeling until they were there, they were worried they were going to miss it, miss out on the big show or whatever it was. And for us, a lot of our morale in my unit was pretty shitty at the time because we just thought we're all going to get out after 4 years and never actually go to combat.
Yeah,
it was pretty disappointing to an infantryman that your whole life is training and learning how to go to combat and you never get the opportunity.
Yeah, I find it so interesting, bro, that like it's such an international thing for a certain group of young men, and I suppose some young women too, who want to go out and see combat. Like it's not like this image gets painted in the media sometimes. We kind of drag kicking and screaming into this stuff. Not the professional armies of the war on terror, at least definitely not like that I ever came across. It's like I put this in my book, dude. There's a quote from General Douglas MacArthur, who's like it's like something like the soldier prepares for peace, the soldier above all else doesn't praise for peace. And I said, like, well, not the ones I met. Like, we wanted war. We wanted what you guys had. Now that might might not be a good thing to want, but we're just being honest with ourselves when we say that. You must have been like fucking off the chains with kind of like excitement going into that. And by excitement I mean, the adrenaline when you knew that was what was going to be happening with you.
When we finally knew, yeah, absolutely. I was scared to death, but I didn't want anybody to know that either. But the way it happened with us was just being poked and prodded, like the way I would assume like a dog in a cage, just being poked and prodded. We didn't know we were actually going into Fallujah. My unit didn't know we were going into Fallujah until, honestly, literally about 2 weeks out. They finally told us we're going to go and we're going to hit Fallujah. I mean, we didn't even know we were going to Iraq for like 3 weeks. They had us in Kuwait and nobody would give information. So finally one day they're like, all right, these guys are going on a convoy up to fucking Camp Fallujah and these guys are flying. I mean, like, we never knew anything. So we were pretty frustrated about always being in the dark. I mean, literally didn't know shit until it was about to go down. So we felt unprepared, kind of in a way mentally, just to know, what we were up against and what we were going to be asked to do.
Training wise, what do you feel like your training was like for urban warfare before you went?
Absolutely subpar, and that's the whole thing. Like at that time, you got to go back to a Hawaii infantry unit in 2003, 2004 to fully understand where we were at that time. We're jungle fighters. A lot of our deployments were off the Muse, were off ships, and we were training in places like the Philippines and Korea and the Marianas Islands and Guam, which is jungle environments, beach environments where you do like an invasion, amphibious invasion. And then all of a sudden we got very little mount training, very little. And we basically we were very unprepared as a unit, in my opinion, in terms of like comparative to how other units train, especially like a lot of the California units where they already had desert and they had mount and they had all that, CAX and Viper and like all these combined arms exercises. We didn't have any of that, and so that was another thing. Like we just were just really raw, and, we learned on the fly a lot and trial and error in Fallujah. But after the first week, we're pretty shit hot as a unit, and it was awesome to see like muscle memory, just general basic training coming into play was really what saved a lot of us.
So was your role in Hawaii then as like a kind of like a Chinese counter? Was it like
Yeah.
You're dealing with that kind of the Asian, the Southeast Asian theater?
Yeah, like what they're basically getting back to now. And they put it on hold because of this war on terror. But yeah, like they have these things called UDPs, which are unit deployment programs, where we'd go out to Okinawa and then we'd float out on the Mew and go to Australia and just,
So what's a Mew?
Marine Expeditionary Unit. It's like continuously afloat. You have like a company or a battalion of Marines on a ship just floating around in the ocean. And then
Right.
you'll go train. You got helicopters, it's kind of like an aircraft carrier for helicopters and Harrier jet.
So you have like a whole group with like with naval naval ships and
Absolutely, fully integrated. Yeah.
yeah, because there's a lot of specific, like, it's one of the things I always like get pissed off about people when I like dumb grunts, because it's like as a grunt you need to be able to work in the jungle, you need to be able to work in the desert, you need to be able to work in urban, you need to be able to work in woods and forests, but at one time or another, because each of these scenarios is slightly different. Like the building blocks might be similar, but like there's a different way of, you're going to clear Russian trench systems very differently to how you're going to clear buildings. And you can't be expected to be on top of each one at the same time. That's just not impossible. There's not even really usually the training budget to do one. So it seems, I think I saw this with the British too, that you just take units and go, hey, you know what? Iraq's just going to be basically a peacekeeping mission and these guys are going to be handing out bottles of water. It doesn't matter that they're not fully trained up. Send them anyway. And then when, something like this happened and all of a sudden they decide to want to do like this, what do you call it, like an online kind of, move through a city, then all of a sudden then that's the different kettle of fish, because you don't have the time for training, and the people, like those lessons that you're talking about, those lessons have to be learnt in blood. And what's so disappointing about that is those lessons have already been learnt in blood in the Battle of Hue City, or the campaigns in the Second World War, or the Israeli campaigns. All these lessons are there. They don't need to be relearned, they just need to be taught. But you rush people in, and it has to be learned all over again, and that means people going home to their families, or not going home to their families, going home to their families not who they were in the first place, or going home broke, in bags and coffins, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
That must be frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, Fallujah in many ways. I've heard so many people say, "Oh, well, it's not the best time of your life." There's other. I mean, it was the pinnacle of my life in many ways. As far as I don't know if I'll ever experience something so important, so life threatening on a daily basis. Like I get complacent and comfortable being in a house with air conditioning and shit. And I think a lot about the way we lived back then, and we lived every moment, and like it was our last. I mean, that's what I think a lot about. It's like, I think for me, that's the allure of combat, is that we were really truly alive all the time, and it's hard to get that. It's hard to get that. That's why people jump out of airplanes and try to get that feeling, being alive.
How does it feel when you hear someone say, like, because I'll put my hand up to it. I hear about a battle like Fallujah, and I know as bad as it is, I'm like, as a combat infantryman, I'm like, I wanna be there. So how do you feel, like, because you must hear that a lot. So how does that kind of come across to you?
I mean, I understand it, because when I was growing up, I looked at combat veterans as the most tested men on earth, and I was always been kind of like this historian all my life, and I used to study battles like Way City, Vietnam, especially, and like um, the way Iwo Jima and like all these famous battles that the Marine Corps had fought. Um, and like you said, I wanted to be there. I was always like, damn, if I could just been born 40 years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah, I know
which
that one, man.
which is now coming from what I experienced. I mean, I totally understand it. I know that that's foolhardy to think, but I think for a young, impressionable man who's trying to figure out who he is and wants to be like so-called tested in ways that he sees fit as a man, um, that's normal. I think it's totally normal to want those things until you get it, and then you can absorb it and process it and like, truly understand the meaning behind it. But yeah, I mean, I wanted all that. I wasn't. It's not like you hear stories about guys like Tim O'Brien who were, drafted to Vietnam and didn't want to be there in the first place. I wanted to be there.
How do you feel? Because I've read Tim O'Brien's book, and for anyone, he's the "If I Die in a Combat Zone" guy, right? And
Also,
the
things they
things they
carried.
carried, yeah. And great writer, fucking great writer. But I couldn't relate to him because I was like, damn, dude, like I'm like you're kind of pissing me off. I kind of want to be where you are. I wish I could swap places with you. Is that the kind? Did you used to read that stuff as a younger man before you went in the military?
Yeah, yeah, and like yeah, and I mean, like I said, a lot of my heroes were military based in history. Like just you know people that had done heroic things in battle. I just looked up to them. I don't really know why, because my father was a Marine. He always used to tell me, don't go into infantry. You guys are fucking stupid. That's ridiculous. Go somewhere where you can wear your uniform and look sharp. Why don't you just be like a Marine security guard or something? Why do you want to be down there in the dirt and shit? That's how my dad was, and he was a lifer. So, but quote unquote pogue, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
He embraces that term endearingly. But I don't know, man. It's just something I always wanted, and even till this day, it's something I feel more comfortable with, that type of a lifestyle where I'm just outside and more of a minimalist in general. I don't want a bunch of shit. If I can carry it, I'm happy, and that's it.
So did you like you're talking about the like choosing the kind of like the grunt life? Would you have felt incomplete if you did a job that was in infantry?
I think so. Personally, I mean, majority of the people that join the military, there's just a minority of people that go into infantry. Like as you well know, most jobs are all centered around supporting the infantry. That's the whole point. Even if you're flying a jet or a helicopter, your whole mission is there really to support the troops on the ground. And for me, it's like it's the lowest, worst position you can be in. But like if you want if you want a level of respect, you got to start at the bottom and be willing to take the harshest treatment, I guess. Because there's other guys that had good careers and they didn't experience some of those things. And truthfully, I think from the way they expressed it to me is that they wish they would have chosen a different MOS, and maybe instead of being they're all necessary. I mean, we need all those MOSs. Like I'm not the guy that's gonna bash pogues. I'm not like that at all.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, like I feel like there is some regret to some that didn't actually get in the shit or get a chance to be tested in that way. I think it's pretty normal. Yeah, I would have definitely felt that way, um, especially the fact that my dad was a lifer. I wanted to make my family proud.
Yeah, man. The reason I ask is because we got a lot of young listeners on the show, and a lot of them will always be like, "I want to be in the infantry, but my parents don't want me to be." And it's like you were just saying then, you don't want to be like regretting it, you know?
I mean, you regret it either way. That's the whole. That's the catch. But that's the catch. You're gonna regret things if you get the opportunity to fire your weapon at the enemy. You're gonna come back with some regrets. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I can't speak for everybody, but I don't think you can say you come back from combat at least your first chance anyways, with it without regrets, because you're going to make mistakes and you're going to feel like you failed in ways, and it's really, it's tough to process that. If you get a chance to go back again and again, then maybe you become jaded, and you see friends die and then you regret that part of it, and then if you don't get that opportunity, you're like, I wish I did. So for me, I'd rather just experience what I know is going to be the worst for me, and if I can survive it, like, it doesn't kill me, then I'm better for it.
Yeah, man, I think that's a great way of looking at it, because it's, I always think to myself like, God, I'd love to go back to Afghanistan, but then would I? When I lose a friend out there, would I love to be back there? But then then it's like, okay, well, if I go back and we don't have any combat, would I want to be standing there without any combat? No, of course not.
Hmm.
So, like you said, bro, like, it's like, war gives and takes. It's like a relationship with anything. Like, you have a relationship where you end up breaking up with a girlfriend or partner, or even if you get along great with your partner, there's still going to be, you're not going to see your friends as much as you used to. There's give and take in everything, and it's the same. War is no different. Like, the idea that there's nobody's ever gone to war and it's been like a movie, and you kill all the bad guys and all your mates come home and there's no damage to anybody, and you come back the same guy, except you get laid more because you got medals. That doesn't happen.
Exactly, and it doesn't happen often that I have impressionable youth coming to me and asking my opinion, but I always tell them the same thing. Like, I'm real with them. It's like, it really depends on what you truly want in your heart. Like, if you feel like you have, because I had this strong desire. Like, I just knew in the bottom of my heart that there was no way that I could not try for that opportunity. And it's like anything in life. Sometimes you be careful for what you wish for. You might get it, and especially in my case, like,
Yeah.
I really didn't think I was going to get it, the opportunity, and I literally got it the last 9 months of my enlistment, and 2 weeks later, I was out of the military, just like that. And so it took me a minute to process it.
We had a guest on recently who was in Fallujah. Sorry, for Mogadishu, for the battle there with the Black Hawk Down mission, and they had the guys that stayed on because they didn't want to miss out on that deployment, and guys died that had stayed on and after doing a whole career. It doesn't matter if it's your first day in the office or your last day in the office. It could be your last one. Sounds like it sounds like, the impression I'm getting, dude, is that even though there was downsides to it, you'd do it all again if that was the opportunity.
Yeah, I absolutely would, and I would do a lot of things better than I did before, like any learning experience. But yeah, absolutely, I'd do it again. A small part of me is still training for the day when they're just gonna need broke down fucking guys like me to just be a bullet sponge again.
That's interesting that you say that, mate, because I actually think the same way. Like, I see a lot of people when they come out of the military and they give up on themselves. And then I thought, you know what? There's guys that did World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. There's guys that did World War One and World War II. It's kind of naive for us to think just because we did our deployments in our 20s that we're done now. We might not be fucking done.
I have friends that are very adamant about that. Like, I did my time, and I just, I'm just here to be better than I was 20 years ago, because in a lot of ways I didn't like who I was 20 years ago. I had lots of insecurity, and I covered it up with a lot of other things, and I just want to be a better person. And I wake up every day and I take a lot of the things that I learned from the military to heart, and I try to keep them as part of my standard of living. And like I said, if I'm 43 now, if they ever need a body, like,
Yeah.
I'm here, because that's where I feel like I will do the most good anyway. It sounds tragic and kind of pathetic in a way, but I feel like, you know, I got out of the military for my own personal reasons at the time, and probably wasn't a good decision, but like, I can't go back and change it now. But all I can do now is be better. And like I said, I mean, who knows, man? This world's so crazy. Like, you might just have to defend your home one day. Who knows about trying to go to another country and invade it? It's just, maybe you just have to defend your damn home, you know?
But I think what you said earlier about you've got, this situation where you came into the military and there was no experience. That's what it's like now. So I've been told by people who are senior in the military now, there's no Iraq, Afghanistan experience in the junior ranks. There's very few sergeants that actually have it in the British Army. So if there was another, I almost feel that like you're duty bound in the sense that like, so that these guys don't have to go through all the same learning processes that you did, that even if you're just there in a training position before they deploy, that like, it doesn't mean you're out of the game, because all that experience that we gathered in it, like the amount of experience gathered in Iraq and Afghanistan by the Marine Corps and the British Army in the last 20 years is astronomical. We don't want that lost.
No.
Because it doesn't come through, like, sure, it's been worked into TTPs and SOPs and stuff now, but that doesn't come through as well as a guy that's actually been there. Like I know there was one of the things that the SEAL teams and stuff did before guys went into the war on terror was bring in the Vietnam vets. Bring them into training. So I think that's a really good attitude to have, man. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well is, and there's a deliberate reason I haven't been asking you about anecdotes and stuff like that, was because you got a book. And I'm a big believer, if someone's taking the time to write a book, then people should go read the motherfucking book instead of expecting a podcast to be an audio book. Go buy the fucking book.
Absolutely.
Read the book, support the book. The book's called Lava Dawgs. So how did that come about?
Well, when I was in Fallujah, I used to write in a journal a lot, and because I realized what an epic experience it was, and I had so much adrenaline that I was worried I was going to forget things, and so I started writing stuff down. And I had always written poetry, mostly as just as a form of therapy for just being frustrated all the time. It just made me feel better. It calmed me down a little bit. But I also, as a historian, I love to document, actual events. And when it was going on, I said to myself, going through the streets, like, man, I got to write a book about this one day. But I had no idea how I was going to do it. This was even before, as far as I know, that self-publishing was even a thing yet. My knowledge of the internet, I basically had to relearn computers and stuff, because my knowledge prior to 2004, 2005 of any of that technology was minimal. I was still writing with a pen and paper, and sending letters home. We barely even got a chance to get email. But so basically I carried this thing around, and then when I got home, I carried this journal around for years, and I would just relive all these things. I got to collectivize all these thoughts. I got to somehow document it. And I was waiting for somebody, because all these books were coming out, like No True Glory by Bing West. And like, there were some good books coming out about Fallujah. And I was like, well, I'm waiting for someone that was actually on the ground there to write about it, instead of all these scholars or embedded reporters and shit, And one day I had all this information, and one day in 2013, I just decided to sit down and start consolidating it with an outline and chapters, and I just started chipping away at it for the next year. But my idea was an all-inclusive battalion level experience. I could only write it from my eyes and from the notes that I had and from my perspective, because I was there. But I didn't want the book to necessarily be about me, so I changed the names of everybody, and I didn't really get any collaboration like I had hoped. Maybe support maybe I had hoped to have. But what I didn't really understand at that time was it was a little bit too early for some people to be willing to process that and sit down. At least our guys anyway. And so it was important to me to have a grunt's eye view of the battle, from a historical perspective, but also from a battalion level experience, so we could explain how all the elements work together in cohesion, and like how we took down houses and how we decided what worked and what didn't, trial and error and so forth. So,
dude, I think you and I are on the same lines of this, because I felt exactly the same about writing about Afghanistan, because like you, I grew up reading war memoirs wherever I can get my hands on, and the vast, overwhelming majority of them are written by officers or they're written by scholars. And wars are fought by grunts.
Yeah.
But most grunts and this is a generalization, but I think it's true, is that a lot of grunts don't have good access to education. A lot of them are from bad backgrounds. They've just never, it's not that they're not capable of writing, but no one's ever taken the time to teach them. And then a lot of people, like you said, like when they get out there, because if I hadn't kept journals, dude, I couldn't have done my Afghanistan book. It would have been too much to do.
Yeah.
But I was the only one keeping journals because the other guys just I was very fortunate that I had, parents that encouraged that kind of thing. And I read a lot. And I didn't want what my company went through. I didn't want that, and I didn't want the guys to be lost to history, which is what happens like most of the time, dude.
Absolutely.
So I think that's awesome that you did that, man. I think it's important that you did that, because the other thing as well is, bro, is like one of the phrases I hate, and I've been guilty of saying it myself, is just a grunt. But like you said earlier, everyone's there, including Tier 1 operators. Everyone is there to support the infantry's mission, not the other way around. I think young people now especially have it twisted that you have all these books out. Nothing that there's anything wrong with these books. Every story is fucking equally valid. But the war on terror wasn't fought by only Tier 1 guys. The overwhelming majority of it was fought by, quote-unquote, just grunts. And I think that's why like books like yours are so important. How did it feel writing it?
I was going to get to that. Yeah. I even mentioned right off in the book in the beginning, I was really insecure about it. I just felt this, I felt this really burning desire inside to do it, though. Not necessarily, I didn't want to do it for credit. And that's why I didn't even put my own name on it. I wrote under a different name, Charlie Moose, which is like my pen name that I started writing. First and foremost, I was worried about incriminating people, incriminating myself, because a lot of fucked up shit happened, arguably illegal, but it's war. That's war. I mean, I didn't want people to sit back and armchair quarterback it, if they wanted to, that's fine, but they wouldn't be able to implicate anybody personally. So that was my first priority. And then was, getting it as accurate as possible, because I realized that a combat experience with 12 guys, it's 12 different perspectives of the same event. But I wanted to make sure that it was relative to everyone, even, that, I honestly, in my heart, I wanted people to get behind it and be proud of it and be like, look, it's a part of our history, and not for credit, but like for posterity, and so that they can show their sons and teach them, you ask about young impressionable youth, like you want to know what war is like, read that book, because it's the blood and guts, it's the hopelessness, it's the adrenaline, it's the fear, it's everything you thought you knew, and then it's like, oh shit, this is reality. So like you said, man, officers always get credit for writing these scholarly books and stuff, and like with the ability to self-publish, I encourage everybody, and I tell them, look, anybody can do this. You don't have to be this great writer. You might need a great editor, but just do your best and do it from the heart, and share your stories. I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that you need to share. We need to stop just pushing everything down. Like, if we share, it'll help somebody, and it'll also help us to process, the experience.
I agree, bro. I think there's a reason that the Vikings used to have epic poems and stuff like that, and guys would stand up and tell long stories in the beer halls and stuff. It's all a part of processing it, but we got away from that, and somehow we ended up with this thing where it was like, you just shut the fuck up and don't talk about it if you do your week, which is ridiculous. Like, why would you shut up about one of the most intense experiences of your life? It's insane.
Yes.
Well, one of the things as well I think that's important that you've done is, one of the reasons I totally agree with you on this, and I try to do the same thing, is there's a lot of these books where it'll be a book about a battle group, and they talk about, they'll be like, Lance Corporal such and such was killed in this battle, and people will just gloss over that. It doesn't it doesn't mean that you want to talk about somebody's wounds because you're trying to be like, oh, look what I was in. It's not that at all. But it's a lot harder for somebody to read the book and go, Jesus Christ, someone's fucking leg was hanging off and he's screaming for his mother. If you look at that then, next time you're cheering, let's go to war, you might remember that person's screaming for his mother missing his leg. Whereas if it was just like some statistic or the name, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, because and that's the thing is like we all know in some cases war seems inevitable. It's been a huge part of human endeavor since the beginning of humans and tribes and whatnot. But now that we're in a modern age, we should be smarter about why we choose to go to war and that there is no glory in it. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, the glory in it is the camaraderie that I shared with people in suffering and misery. To me, that's the the glory that I find in it. It's not winning medals, and it's not even really necessarily killing other human beings. Like I just I don't openly go out to like not kill things now, like, but I try to even avoid step on bugs and stuff unless it's a
Oh,
roach.
bro, same.
Unless it's a
Same.
roach in my house or something. Like I don't really go out to kill things in general. Like I got friends that are big time hunters, and I appreciate the art and I love it, but I don't know. It's just not in me right now. I'd rather not because for me in a lot of ways, and I don't know, it's pretty easy to kill. It's easy to kill. It's harder to not kill. So
Dude, when I have like a mouse that the cats have brought in the house and they fucked it up, and it's like the best thing to put it out of its misery, I fucking hate it. I hate having to fucking finish that mouse off.
yeah,
Ruins my day.
yeah,
Like, you're like, because you see something breathing and then and then it's not breathing anymore, and you're like, ah, fuck. Do you know what I mean? It's like heavy. It's heavy.
I'll pull over the car if there's like a turtle in the fucking road, and I'll go and try to pick them up. That's just my weirdness, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you're not alone, dude. I do the same thing. But I know, for anyone listening, yes, I do still eat meat. But I tell you what, I appreciate what I'm eating more now after I've been at war. Like, I say thank you to whatever's on my plate. I say thank you to it.
Absolutely.
It's not just going down my fucking some like the appreciation of life and death changes big time. For some people, it makes them appreciate life less. You can definitely go down that road too. There's a dark road. That people go down. But I want to talk about light road, bro, because I've noticed some similarities in our Instagram pictures. You and me have been going to the same places, and I reckon there's a reason behind that. So tell people where you've been traveling, and then I want to talk a bit about why that might be.
Well, I think you're talking about a picture that I took in Moab. The first time I went to Moab in 2012. So like I said, the internet in the last 15 years played a huge integral part of my life, obviously for everybody too. But I was always kind of like just kind of shocked how it just very, very quickly became such a necessity, especially in terms of getting information and right at your fingertips. But so I started to become fascinated with my like people like I was going to mention. Really, one of the inspirations for travel and just cultures and food and everything was Anthony Bourdain. That guy was my freaking hero, man. And I was really, really disappointed that he was gone. But
sorry, I don't want to jump in there, man. Some people might not know who Anthony Bourdain was.
Okay.
So he was a great writer, great chef, real kind of like outgoing character. And he took his own life. How did that affect you when an idol like that took his own life?
Honestly, I was pretty devastated personally for that, and I don't get like that when I hear about celebrities, even people that I like. I don't feel it really personally. I'm just like, that sucks, that's sad. But when Bourdain killed himself, I mean, I was pretty devastated because like I just looked up to him so much. I thought he was a brilliant man, and I just envied his life. Not envy in like a negative way, but like I wanted to be him. Like I would literally travel places and try to go to the places where he ate food just to have that same experience and try to absorb some of that knowledge and that wisdom. I just thought he was one of the most wise, like calm, like intelligent people, and he spoke in such a way that he understood the ugliness of life, but he made it beautiful, and in like a really corny artistic way. I'm saying it, but like he inspired me to be really who I am now. He inspired me to write my book and to travel and to want to really, um, really try to absorb as much life as I can because the world's just so big, you know.
Yeah, dude, you're in LA now. Have you been to his, Korean barbecue joint? Have you been to his Korean barbecue joint they used to go to?
I tried to get there. I absolutely tried to get there, but because of the
Oh shit.
COVID-19, everything's kind of been
Well,
shitty
dude,
right
when you
now.
get, because
So
that's what I go because it's Bourdain joint. That place is fucking fire. So, but dude, hopefully we'll go. Hopefully we'll go there sometime and get some fucking food.
hell yeah.
But yeah. So sorry. Go back to your travel then.
So yeah, so in 2012, I was living in Puerto Rico at the time, and it was hard to travel.
Hang on. How'd you end up in Puerto Rico?
I got married and I had a kid, man. Like,
Okay.
and yeah, and so we ended up in Puerto Rico for like 7 years, and I was really detached from like the United States. And even though it's part of the U.S., it's really its own country. If you've been there, people understand. They're fiercely independent, just like Hawaiians are, which is actually where I'm from, Hawaii too, and that's a state. But I just really inspired by those things, and I saw a picture of Moab, and I just thought it was like one of the most beautiful landscapes I ever saw, you know. And up until the internet, I didn't really see pictures like that and have that kind of dreams of travel. Um, but coincidentally, a friend of a friend was in the military. He tragically was killed in a motorcycle accident, but his death brought us all together in Denver. And I remember we were all at this reunion in Denver, and everybody's having a great time. And I had this mission. I knew Moab was like 6 hours away from Denver, and I was just going to somehow either get a rent a car or go. But in that experience, I really didn't want to go by myself, not because I was like afraid or anything, but I wanted to skip a lot of the not knowing and just go with someone that kind of already been there. And I just started asking these guys, anybody been to Moab? Did you guys want to go tomorrow? Like, and nobody wanted to go, man. And I met this guy um, who he wasn't in the military, just a great dude, man. And he's like, "Fuck it, dude, I'll take you. Let's go." So the next morning, I thought they were full of shit because everybody was drunk and it was late at night, and I didn't think everybody would wake up. Whatever, these guys were at the house early in the morning as the sun's coming up. So, and we all drove out to Moab, and we went to the Arches National Park, and then I took that photo at Dead Horse State Park where it bends around with the Colorado River right there and goes down into Canyonlands. I mean, it's just such an epic shot. Like, and at that point, it made me realize how big the world is and how short life is, and how I need to get my ass in gear and start going places. Stop dreaming about it and just do it. So that's how that happened. I mean,
Right. Do you want to know something funny? I went to Denver and I went, oh, Moab's 6 hours from here. So I went to Moab. I did it from Denver too, bro.
yeah,
Like, I did it from Denver because I went and I was like, because same as you, I'd looked at these places because it kept coming up on a screensaver.
yeah,
And I was like, fuck. Like, that place looks insane. Like, so anyone as you're listening to this now, just go on your phones, look up hashtag Moab. Monument Valley is one of my favorite
yep.
places in the world. And I try to make a pilgrimage to there every year now. I'm trying to make that a thing. Don't know if it'll be able to happen this year now, but like, dude, I was the same. I was like, well, Moab's 6 hours away. And I felt called to it. So you know how you're talking about like just as the same as we had like a calling to be in infantry, I felt like I had a calling to go to Moab and to go to Dead Horse Point. And just like you're saying, bro, I saw these places and it was like, it's almost like an overwhelming sense of peace that you get. But also I was just like, wow, everything's going to be okay. It's kind of how I felt about things, you know?
Totally. I mean, like, just the energy that comes off the land. Like, so I've always been this way. I've always had these feelings, and I used to suppress it a lot because it's like, you're crazy, man. Like, or you just have anxiety, or you just whatever. Just you need medicine or something. Like, now I embrace it and I do it and I make it happen. And when it's over, like you said, I have this overwhelming sense of peace and calm. And when it comes to like out west in the United States, like, there's so much like ancient kind of echoing of American Native American culture, you know, and it's like sounds corny to the average person, but I really try to connect with these vibes, you know, and go to places like Sedona, Arizona, where they have these vortexes where they make you feel good, and like it's not a it's not like a witchcraft kind of a thing or a mythical thing. It's just connecting
Mm-hmm.
all of our energy, like kind of like plugging in the way you would plug into a socket. Like that's and it's just peaceful, man. Like it's hard to explain it, but people don't allow themselves to quiet their mind like that, and so it's hard to understand the value or even feel the result. You know?
Dude, when I went to like one Monument Valley and Dead Horse Point, you put your hand down on a rock and you feel like the heat coming out of the rock, and the wind is hot, but you feel the wind, and you're looking at these pillars of red rock, which have been shaped
Yes.
by billions of years of wind. And you can feel that it's not the same wind, but it's that wind that shaped those rocks.
Yeah.
And you feel the heat and the stillness of the place. It's like, it's a heavy stillness. Like the air feels heavier in a way. Like you could cut the air, but it's like, it's like taking a warm bath in life. It's fucking amazing. And like, I honestly feel like the best thing that you can do for yourself is, and you can get this in other places as well. For me, I felt this most in those places. I feel it in other places, but like that charges me up for the next 6 months, bro. I'm good to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, all my life I've never been out west. I've just recently started exploring it, and I feel like that's where I belong. I feel like I need to kind of go back into what used to be done in terms of just spiritually and connecting more with the earth and nature. It just makes sense. Like there's nothing bad about it. There's nothing toxic about it, except when there's a lot of humans around. You know.
I think you and me might end up being neighbors, mate, because that's the part of the world that I want to move myself to.
Come on, man.
100%. So like we're definitely going to be seeing more of each other, mate, because like that's Zion National Park. There's something about America that, like, don't get me wrong, I fucking love Great Britain, right? And around the area I live is beautiful, and like Britain is beautiful, but there's something about the vast emptiness of the desert in America that I haven't witnessed anything like that anywhere else.
Yeah, and like like you say, desert. Like we've been to Afghanistan, we've been to Iraq, places like where the quintessential desert, but out there it's like there's still a lot of life, and there's still a lot of like shapes and landscapes and colors, because when the sun goes to different points, it hits that red rock, and it's just fascinating, man. Like, but that's why when I think about it, I always go back in the past in history, like what happened here, what was it like 75 million years ago when there was like dinosaurs running around this place, and it was like a lush freaking swampland. Or like, I just think it's fascinating to see like layers in the canyons and see like different sediment, like, go back in the Cambrian period and the Mesozoic period or whatever. You can see it in the rock. It's just fascinating.
Bro, my friend JC and I, we recently drove from California to Chicago. So we went through like Arizona, we went through the Rocky Mountains. America is just fucking breathtaking, dude. Like, I mean, it is a continent. So we started off in fucking shorts in California. We got snowed in one day in the Rocky Mountains. Then by the time we came, we went through the totally flat fucking areas of Nebraska. I fucking love the American landscape for me. So I'm reading, I don't know if you read the Empire of the Summer Moon. Have you read that?
No.
Bro, stick that on you. I'll text you the picture when we get off. They had herds of buffalo, right? 40 miles deep and 25 miles wide, with like fucking millions of buffalo in one herd.
And all the white settlers killed them for the pelts so they could sell them, but also leave the carcass out so that it starved the Indians. Pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the nastiest side of it. That it was just like, hey, these Indians rely
absolutely
on this, so we're just going to kill them all.
Yeah.
Like, there's some fucked up shit, but that's what you're talking about with the energies and stuff, bro. Like, what happened here? Like, And there's history everywhere. But when you go, even though there's other people, there are other tourists when you go to these places, it doesn't feel like it though. Because there's a couple of spots where everyone goes for a photo, but you can just go off on the side a few hundred meters, and you'll feel like you're alone on the planet. You feel like you're the only person on the planet.
Yeah, I did that recently in Sedona, and like I said, it was an amazing experience. Uh, I went off on the side, and the minute you go around like a rock, the sun's coming out, the wind's blowing. People tend to just kind of, I don't want to judge, but it seems like people are kind of superficial when they're at these places. They're just like, oh yeah, here, that. Me, like so many things are going on inside. I'm just like bursting at the seams, trying not to embarrass myself, like a little kid. But I'm all about going off.
Do you start running around from place to place? Do you get like that energy where you like start running?
Yeah, like it's so overwhelming, and it's like I want to just grab it all up and like make it, like shove it into my body, like make it a part of me. Like I feel like, but then at the same time, the essence of it is that it belongs to everybody else. It must be shared. But selfishly, I wish I could just take those moments and like capture them and just take them.
Honestly, bro, that's what I work towards now. Like when I'm working on a project, because I do a lot of projects that we've both done work that was very meaningful to us. We've both done work that's work. But I like look at it now as like, this is to enable me to go to those places and get those moments. And I'll fucking put my hand up and say, I fucking cried when I've been at places like that, man. Just out of like, not like, oh my God, I'm so sad, but like just out of awe, sheer awe.
Yes, absolutely. I've yet to go to Zion, but that's one of those places that would definitely do it. Recently I went to Havasu Pi Falls. It was back in November, and I mean that was probably the most epic experience I've ever had in terms of like hiking and nature and being outside. Just absolutely blue, like turquoise blue water, and waterfalls that were just freaking majestic, man. And I mean, you could just hike it all the way down where it like tributaries with the Colorado River, and I mean, I don't know, man. Like for me, all I want to do is just keep going to those places and refueling. I don't see myself stopping until I can't walk, and I guess that's what I'm afraid of, the day that I can't walk anymore. And like, shit, man, if I can't hike up to a place and see a view,
we'll have jetpacks by then, bro. We'll be good. We'll fly around in our jetpacks.
Life will be pretty disappointing at that point,
Yeah, don't worry. We'll get you up there somehow, mate. Catapult. Find some kind of way to get you up. Oh, mate, I tell you what, mate. I'm looking forward. We'll do the next time we do one of these together. It'll be in person, and we'll do it somewhere like that, man. Because that'll be fucking epic. I can't wait to come out, mate. We'll hit some fucking trails.
Let's link up.
Have you got any parting words of wisdom for our noble listeners? Put you on the spot, mate. Sorry.
I think just really believe in yourself, in the sense of like what you think in your heart. If the world's telling you it's wrong and you really believe it, just have the courage to follow it. That's all I can say. Because eventually life will pass you by, and you'll be trying to play catch up to all these experiences that maybe you should have done. So if you have the opportunity to travel or do something that you're afraid of, do it. And hopefully you'll live to tell about it.
Well, there we have it, guys. A fantastic guest, as ever. Nick Misiano. I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed my chat with Nick. Looking forward to catching up with him in person next time I get out to the States. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, sponsors, for making the podcast possible. Guys, please go and support the sponsors. They've all got social media pages, most of them anyway. Please go and find them. They're all tagged up. Give them a follow. Because even if you can't purchase whatever whatever they've got in stock, then if you can just make a post about them and help spread it. Let's look at this as a community. Everyone's like, you guys, there's no podcast without you guys listening. There's no podcast without me. There's no podcast without the guests. There's definitely no podcast without our guests. And there's no podcast without the sponsors. So if we could all support each other, I really appreciate it. If you do have some spare pennies and you'd like to order a paperback copy of Brothers in Arms from Amazon, then that would be amazing. And I would thank you so much for that. Nick's book, under the name, remember his pen name is Charlie Moose. That book is now linked up on vsonpodcast.com/books, along with books from every other guest. If the guest's been on and they got a book, then it's on there, so you can check them all out. Brothers in Arms is on there too. Thank you so much, guys. We will catch you next week. Love you. Bye.
Yeah. Listen. Shout out Teaser. You told me not to worry, and you wouldn't break my heart. You told me you were sorry, yeah, my whole world fell apart. You said it's not my fault, and yeah, I've never done you wrong. I'm grinding to a halt, now I can see you're moving on. I promised I'd get better, and I told you things would change. You keep me to the gutter, yeah, I'll never be the same. I've gotta let you go, now live your life and spread your wings. And yeah, you put on quite a show, and pulled the puppet strings. And are you sure that you don't want me? Remember all the pain, or maybe you should thank me. It's your loss and my gain. I'm leaving now forever, I won't hang my head in shame. But yeah, you've taken me for granted, and you should feel ashamed. You sold a dream to all of us, a dream that we'd all die for, a reason for us all to live and something we could fight for. I might just help a man up to his feet or hold a newborn, but no matter what I do, my hands remembering my rifle, yeah.
Life's hard, I know that, still wouldn't change shit. I wouldn't go back, yeah, I wouldn't go back. Feelings I hold back, memories fade, yeah, they go fast, yeah, they go fast. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows, just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows, just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose.